You know, there are much more innocent meanings of grown-up toys than what one would usually think it means. The Rugrats episode regarding Stuie is a very good reminder of that. You know, I thought regarding Stuie was a really sweet episode of the Rugrats, probably one of their best. I mean, in the Rugrats, one of the things that makes the Rugrats a very special, memorable, and long-running show is that, it's one of the first three Nicktoons from when Nickelodeon was in its infancy, yes, pun intended. It was a very cute show because it was a fun show about seeing the world from the perspective of babies who could talk. And they like to crawl around, explore the world around them, getting into some dangerous, and sometimes they get into some dangerous fields. I think sometimes they have their own special imaginary adventures, and sometimes they're dealing with their regular home situations. Before the 1990s, there's never, ever been a show like Rugrats, VeggieTales, or SpongeBob SquarePants, and I doubt there ever will be another show like them again. Yeah, one of the really odd things that everyone speculates about the Rugrats is it's always hard to know. It's always hard to know if adults can actually hear what the babies are saying, or if it's just a thing that's translated to or they don't really talk and it's just translated to the audience. And Angelica and Susie are preschoolers who are in the middle ground where they can talk to, in which they can talk to. They're in the, and I guess Angelica and Susie are in the in-between zone where they can hear and talk to babies. They don't have to hear and talk to baby characters, but they're also, I guess, fairly just old enough to have full conversations with the adult characters and older kids. Which it was a very unique character, family dynamic that made Rugrats unique. That doesn't exist in All Grown Up, which, it wasn't the best. Well, it may not have been the best of spin-offs, but still a pretty good experiment to see, for what Rugrats would show how the Rugrats behave, how they changed as they got 10 years older, and they could finally start. All grown up when Rugrats are preteens and they're a bit more mature and experienced to everyday life, middle school. Okay, so yeah, back to regarding Stuie. Yeah, what I thought made regarding Stuie. The 1990s were a golden age of revolutionary new cartoons and films. Rugrats and The Simpsons. The Simpsons and Rugrats were the two biggest cartoons in the 1990s. The Simpsons for adults and Rugrats for kids. And it's funny is they're actually both animated by Classic Supo. If I remember correctly, Classic Supo animated the first few seasons of The Simpsons. So that was really neat. They also both have the voice actors Nancy Carter and Trust McNeil in common. Oh, yeah, back to regarding Stuie. The thing that I thought made regarding Stuie very interesting was after Stu Pickles got hit, after Stu Pickles, the father of Tommy Pickles, after Stu was hit on the head with with his duck-shaped toy that would also function like a weather vane. Yeah, being hit on the head causes Stu to eventually regress into a baby, and then which helped him it was interesting. It was an interesting shift in family dynamics because after being hit on the head by the duck toy, after being hit on the head by the weather duck, Stu is Stu is at the level of being able to interact with his his baby son and his friends, Chuckie, little Bill. At first so that's I thought regarding Stuie is pretty cool because Stu got to spend a day interacting with the babies on their level after the weather duck fight incident. And at first they had a lot of fun with Stu because he got to act like one of them for a few days, wearing a bed sheet as an adult-sized diaper. He was very useful to help helping the Rugrats by reaching shelves that because Stu is tall enough to reach the shelves that the Rugrats were all too short to reach, so he helped them get cookies and early Christmas presents that way. After they, I think probably the one broke one of Tommy's toys in a fight. Tommy wants Stu to fix it because Stu's a toy maker, toy mitch. He's great at fixing toys. He's good, but not great with fixing toys. Tommy started to miss Tommy started to miss having Stu as his father because Stu is a nice dad who would always be there to help him fix his toys when they break and read him bedtime stories. So they get Stu to go up the ladder again and to the roof of their house to fight with the weather duck toy again, and it helps knock Stu back into being his normal adult self. And Tommy is happy to have his father back. Oh right, the grown-up toys thing. Yeah, well, okay. So the thing is, when the Rugrats are they're giving Stu things to help before they tell him to go back up to the weather duck. They're giving Stu items they're giving Stu objects that they hoped would help him act like an adult again. Like they give Chuckie gave him a phone so he could call people on it. Chuckie gave Stu a telephone so he could call people on it. Tommy gave him a newspaper that he could use to read in the bathroom for a long time. And Phil and Lil gave Stu a briefcase, which one of them said that is where he keeps his grown-up toys. And of course I know they didn't mean grown-up toys of course they didn't mean sex toys, which would be way too inappropriate to show or talk about in Rugrats. They meant grown-up toys as in things normal everyday office supplies that adults would carry around with them in the suitcase, like staplers, paper clips, medicine, checkbooks, those wallets, those are grown-up toys. You know, those are the sort of grown-up toys that Lillian and Philip DeVille had in mind when they told Stu, you know, he carries his grown-up toys in his suitcase. So yeah, that's all I have to say regarding Stuie. Except this, well, in a few scenes with Dee Dee, actually, I also thought it was kind of funny how, like, when Stu is, oh yeah, another thing that the Rugrats used to do for when he was acting like is that he turned on the shower for the. He turned on the shower for them. They were fun, you know, doing a shower for kids instead of a bath. And when Dee Dee is, and when it's kind of funny how, you know, Dee Dee is trying to talk to this dude from the other side of the door. He's taking a shower and she was it, and you know, she was able to guess and she guessed right if he meant yes or no by just be able to tell from his babbling if it was a yes or a no. And then she came, and then after Stu was back to his normal adult self, you know, Dee Dee came home and asked Stu why he was wearing that tailor, not the red shirt, whatever it was that the Rugrats fault, the clothesline to act as for Stu to use as an adult, use the diaper. Yeah, so that's why, regarding Stuie was a pretty hilarious Rugrats episode, but also at the same time very heartfelt because Tommy knew that in the long and he likes Stu much better as a father than as a big baby, so-called big baby. You know that the garage sale episode that's paired with this one, I thought that was also pretty funny because the Rugrats helped their parents, and not just because the Rugrats helped their parents and grandpa inadvertently sell everything, which made Stu really angry because he lost some things that had sentimental value to him. He lost a lot of things with sentimental value, but I also, when he pulled out that disco suit, and then Angelica asked Dee what disco was. Like, I actually thought it was hilarious in hindsight that it was hilarious. I actually thought it was a pretty hilarious coincidence that now the Simpsons and Rugrat because now the Simpsons and Rugrats both have a disco Stu in them, except that the Rugrats Stu doesn't go by the name Disco Stu. But it was just a funny. But when he wanted the disco to come back, I actually thought, to me that was a hilarious reminder of the Disco Stu character from The Simpsons because they happen to both have the same first name. And nothing, it's I really like if you grew up at the same time as my mother Linda, during the times of the original Star Wars trilogy, you might recognize the voice actors of the parents of the Pickles parents and the grandpa from some things because if you grew up in the 1970s during the time of the original Star Wars trilogy, the 70s or 80s, you might remember Jack Riley from. You might remember Jack Riley, voice of Stu Pickles from. You might remember Jack Riley, voice of Stu Pickles from The Bob Newhart Show and The Longest Goodbye. You might remember David Doyle, voice of Grandpa Lou Pickles, from Capricorn. You might remember David Doyle, voice of Grandpa Lou Pickles, from Charlie's Angels and Capricorn 1. And you might remember Melanie Shartoff, voice of Dee Dee Pickles, from you might remember Melanie Shartoff, voice of Dee Dee Pickles, from you might remember Melanie Shartoff, voice of Dee Dee Pickles, from American Hot Wax and Parker Lewis Can't Lose, that which, you know, a TV show which was on the air at the same time as the first 2 seasons of Rugrats. Maybe the first 3. But yeah, Michael Bell and Tress MacNeille, who voiced Chuckie, Finster's dad, and Angelica's parents, you know, they're Michael and Tress MacNeille are experienced talent voice actors who have been voice acting since a few decades before and after the Rugrats. I mean, Rugrats, there's no doubt in the title like in The Simpsons. But I must say, the people who voice Tommy's parents and the Grandpa Lou, they definitely have a very interesting resume of on-screen live acting credits from before they made a name for themselves in animation with Rugrats. Thanks for watching. I hope you remember Rugrats as fondly as I do, even though I actually wasn't alive for the first 4 seasons of it. 5. I wasn't alive for the first 4 or 5 seasons of Rugrats. Or give me 4.5. Yeah, Rugrats and Simpsons. I'm very nostalgic for them, to the extent that they maybe want to check out plenty of other cartoons and films from the 1990s, like like Captain of the Planeteers and Gargoyles, and especially Cyber 6. That's Captain Wesluck's magnum opus from her pre-Frenchman's Magic years. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I was pleasantly surprised to search for grown-up toys on Google Images today and see a lot of search results that weren't very explicit and inappropriate, stuff that would survive the safe search. And I'm glad that Rugrats writers didn't have a dirty mind when it comes to their idea of grown-up toys.